this. Does intelligence exist that can definitively answer the following question, whether there were improper contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian officials?
We did not include any evidence in our report, and I say our, that's NSA, FBI, and CIA with my office, the Director of National Intelligence, that had anything that had any reflection of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and the Russians. There was no evidence of that included in our report.
I understand that, but does it exist?
Not to my knowledge.
If it existed, it would have been in this report.
This could have unfolded or become available in the time since I left the government. At the time, we had no evidence of such collusion.
There's a lot of smoke, but there hasn't been that smoking gun yet. At what point should the public start to wonder this is all just smoke?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I do think, though, it is in everyone's interest, in the current president's interest, in the Democrats' interest, in the Republican interest, in the country's interest, to get to the bottom of all this, because it's such a distraction. And certainly the Russians have to be chortling about the success of their efforts to sow dissension in this country.
So you feel like your report does not get to the bottom? You admit your report that you released in January doesn't get to the bottom of this?
It did. Well, it got to the bottom of the evidence, to the extent of the evidence we had at the time. Whether there is more evidence that's become available since then, whether ongoing investigations will be revelatory, I don't know.
There was a conclusion that said it's clear that the Russians interfered and did so in an attempt to help Donald Trump. Do you still believe that conclusion?
Yes, I do.
But at this point, what's not proven is the idea of collusion.
That's correct.
When you see these parade of officials that were associated with the Trump campaign, first they deny any conversations, now we're hearing more, does that add to suspicion, or do you think some of this is circumstantial?
Well, I can't say what the nature of those conversations and dialogues were for the most part. Again, I think it would be very healthy to completely clear the air on this subject, and I think it would be in everyone's interest to have that done.
Can the Senate Intelligence Committee, what are we going to learn from their investigation, do you think, that will move beyond what you were able to do?
Well, I think they can look at this from a broader context than we could. And at this point, I do have confidence in the Senate Intelligence Committee and their effort. It is underway, in contrast to the House Intelligence Committee, which just last week agreed on their charter. Mm-hmm. And importantly, in the case of the Senate Intelligence Committee, this appears to me to be a truly bipartisan effort. And so I think that needs to play out. If for some reason that proves not to be satisfactory in the minds of those who make those decisions, then perhaps move on to a special prosecutor.